Hello, I'm David from Automate This, and in this short video we're going to take a look at how to configure n8n to work behind NGINX. n8n requires a web server in order to show you the application in your web browser, and when you install this out of the box it uses a web server called Caddy. Now, if you intend on solely using your server just for n8n, my recommendation is not to touch it. But if there comes a time when you want to use your web server for other applications, you will need to find a way to serve those either through Caddy or by making n8n work with another web server, one of the common ones being NGINX. Caddy itself is a great web server, but many applications haven't produced instructions or guides or bundle Caddy when it comes to installing those additional applications. They do tend to use either NGINX or Apache. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how to reconfigure n8n to work with NGINX. Let's take a look at how to do that now. Okay, let's take a look at how to configure n8n to run behind NGINX. Before we get stuck into this, just a couple of quick reminders. If you have any other applications that are using Caddy as a web server on your server, please don't follow this guide. Instead, you will need to find an alternative way of doing this. We're going to completely remove Caddy in this guide, so if you have any other applications using Caddy, they will stop working. Secondly, the commands that I'm going to share with you in this video are related to the video we produced about installing n8n using Docker. If you didn't follow that guide, but you did install with Docker, you will need to go back to that guide to find the location of your docker compose.yml file. We are going to be using that in this guide, so you will need to know the path to get to that. With all of that, let's take a look at how to configure n8n to work behind NGINX. So I have a completely blank install of n8n here, and I'm going to use the inspect tool in the Google Chrome tools just to show you that this is currently definitely running with Caddy. So I'm going to go to workflows here at the top and scroll down. You can see here the server is currently showing as Caddy, and we're going to reconfigure this to use NGINX instead of Caddy. All of this is going to be done in the command line or command prompt, and if you scroll down in the description you will see a link to an article where you can copy and paste all of these commands and the file contents just to make it a little easier for you. So I'm going to drag in my terminal window, so we're going to be using this throughout the video. And the first thing I want to do is just make sure that everything is up to date. So I'm going to run a apt update command. And once that runs, the next stage is to install NGINX. So the command here, sudo apt install nginx space -y, will install NGINX into my server. And that's going to take just a couple of seconds to run through. We'll just leave that to do its thing. And once that's installed and completed, we now need to create a configuration file which will make n8n work with NGINX. So the command for this, we're going to use nano as a text editor to do this. So it's going to create this file at this path, and the file is going to be called n8n. You can change that endpoint to whatever you like, you just need to remember what it is. It's going to press enter here, and that will open up a blank file. And I'm going to copy in my configuration into this file. Again, you can grab this code from the article in the description. I need to make one change to this, and that is to add in my domain name, where it's got server name in the file here. So I'm going to delete out the triangle brackets, and I'm going to add in my domain name. Now you add this without HTTP or HTTPS. So my domain name is going to be test.automatethis.com. Whatever domain name you used with your n8n installation, keep the same. It just keeps everything nice and simple. Once you're happy you have that in, then we're going to Control and X to start closing the file, yes to save the modified buffer, and Enter to save the file. The next stage then is to create a symbolic link. So I'm just going to paste in the command to do this. And this will link the sites available to sites enabled. This is how NGINX works. So I'm just going to paste that command and press Enter. And then I'm going to issue a command which is sudo nginx space -t just to test the configuration. And that should all come back and say it was successful. We're going to leave nginx there just for now. If you try and start it, you will find you get an error message. And this is because Caddy is still currently bound itself to port 80 and port 443. And it's these two ports that nginx needs to bind to in order to work and show n8n in your web browser. So we need to go through the steps then to stop that from happening. So next then we need to make an edit to our docker-compose.yml folder. Now my Docker Compose folder is in my home / n8n docker caddy folder. So I'm going to head off to that directory, and then I'm going to use nano as a text editor, which will bring up my Docker Compose file. And I need to remove the reference to Caddy in this file, which means I need to delete everything from Caddy down to n8n here. So I'm going to just work my way along here, and I'm going to completely remove this block all the way back up to services. It's just going to take me a second to do this. All the way out up to services, and then I need to remove this part at the bottom here referencing Caddy data in volumes 2. So we just want the reference to n8n in this folder. Perfect. So Control X, Y, and Enter to leave that file. Now, again, a warning: if you have Caddy being used for any other applications, this is your last opportunity to stop. At this point, we're now going to remove Caddy. Now, a quick way of doing this then is we need to find the Docker container ID that Caddy is currently using. So, there are multiple different ways of doing this. What I'm going to do is just search for which of my containers are using port 80. So I'm going to paste in my command. Again, you can find this in the article to have a look for this. And this will bring up the containers that are using port 80. I know there's only one of them in this case. And what you're looking for here is where it's got container ID, image, command, etc. The container ID is typically the first string of letters and numbers that you can see in this piece of code or string. And I'm going to double click on this and copy it. And I now need to stop that container. So I issue the command docker stop and the container ID, and then I need to remove it. So this is docker rm container ID, and that will remove Caddy completely. Once that's complete, I now need to restart NGINX, and then I need to stop and start Docker. So we're going to bring it down, then bring it back up again with one command. Now, if you have installed n8n using Docker previously, you may remember that you get 3 green words here. One of those is for Caddy. We've only got 2 now because Caddy has been taken out of the Docker compose file. Now, I want to install a SSL or an SSL certificate to work with my domain name inside of NGINX. So to do this, I firstly need to install something called certbot. So I'm going to issue the command to do that. Just going to take a couple of seconds. And once that is completed, then we're going to issue the command to issue the certificate. So this is this command sudo certbot nginx-d, and then after that we need a space and then the domain which we are installing it on. So in my case this was test.automatethis.com. Press enter and just follow the prompts. So it's going to ask me for an email address to send updates to. Apologies, I inputted the wrong email address there. Okay, then do I agree to the terms and conditions? Yes, I do. Do I want to sign up for a mailing list? I'm just going to put no to this. And that will request the certificate. When it says it's been deployed, what that means is it's now updated the NGINX configuration file that we created a few moments ago to now use SSL. And if I drag my command window out of the way now and refresh my n8n instance, click back onto inspect, go to network, so just refresh this again, and go back to workflows and scroll down. We now find that the server is showing as NGINX, meaning that n8n is now working behind NGINX. And what you probably want to go ahead and do now is to quickly create yourself a workflow. Just pop in a test trigger as a webhook. Just gonna use post and call this test webhook. I'm gonna quickly send a postman request to this address. Just to make sure everything's working. So I'm gonna listen for a test event, send the event. There we go. So my workflows, my webhooks, and everything is working perfectly. So that is how you configure n8n to work behind NGINX. I hope you liked this short video. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to see future videos we create on how to use n8n and its functionality. Thanks for now.